shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. As a companion when you got pun on the Kanoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
Alrighty, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to this, the 33rd iteration of the Konoha Companion. This is Joshua. I'm your Konoha Companion, as always. And on this episode, we're going to be covering episode 32 of Naruto, entitled Sakura Blossoms. And before we get too far off into that, I want to go over what happened on the previous episode in my own words. Basically, Orochimaru leaves Anko on the branch, and it takes us to Team Guy, who splits up. And it shows us Sakura, who is still taking care of Sasuke and Naruto, who are both still unconscious. Sakura nearly dozes off, but fights to stay awake, but ultimately dozes off. Naruto and Sasuke both wake up and thank Sakura for taking care of them. And Orochimaru basically attacks. And Sakura wakes up, and it was just all a nightmare. And in this moment, after she wakes up, something rustles in the bushes behind her, and it's revealed to just be a squirrel, and it's a trap squirrel, one that has a paper bomb on it. And the squirrel comes rushing towards her, and she throws her kunai to stop the squirrel, but it's later revealed that it was to stop the squirrel from triggering a trap, not to stop that. She didn't know there was no paper bomb on it. It takes us to Rock Lee, who's running through the forest, who gets distracted. Basically, he issues himself a challenge to catch all 20 leaves that he spots that are falling from a branch. And he gets 19 of them, but before he hits the ground, he sees the squirrel off to the side with this paper bomb smoldering on it. It's about to explode. And so he bails on grabbing the 20th leaf, and he goes to save the squirrel. At this point, Neji happens across Team 10. I love that they had a hide and hang out strategy, which didn't work, so they tried strategy 2, which is to have Ino go out there and blow him away with her beauty. And Neji is just not having it at all, and basically tells them to get lost. He doesn't want to get made fun of for taking a scroll off a group of cowards, and basically dismisses them and tells them to go, and they go back to hiding. At this point, it shows us that Team Dosu is moving in on Sakura, but she refuses to let them get to Sasuke. She calls them out for being controlled by Orochimaru, which blows their mind. They definitely aren't expecting to have that happen. Zaku goes on attack, but Dosu stops him and addresses the trap that Sakura saved by stopping the squirrel with the kunai. They go to attack Sakura by leaping over the trap, and at this point Sakura springs a second trap on them midair, which Dosu is able to thwart by using his resonating echo speaker jutsu. He blows it in half. At this point, Rock Lee, the handsome devil of the Leaf Village, saves the day with a badass leaf hurricane. Sakura insists that she's Lee's enemy in this moment, and Lee's like, nah, I'm going to protect you with my life, like I already told you I would. And Dosu goes to fight Rock Lee. Lee pulls a giant root out of the ground to block Dosu's attack. Ino and Shikamaru complain back and forth while Choji eats chips. And in this moment, Choji notices this fight between Lee, Sakura, and Team Dosu transpiring. Ino and Shikamaru hop up to Choji's snack spot on a branch to get a better view. At this point, Neji and Tenten go to track down Lee because he's late. He isn't at their meeting spot where Neji threw the kunai in the ground. And Lee's never late, according to Tintin. At this point, we get a flashback to Lee being told he can't use the Lotus technique he just mastered because it's a self-deteriorating technique that can't be used unless a particular condition is met, and that condition is to protect the life of someone precious. Lee uses the lotus technique to protect Sakura. He kicks Dosu into the air, and he leaps into the air with him, and he gets behind him, and his arm wrap around Dosu, and then he gives him like a big bear hug, and he basically slams him with a twisting pile driver from hell. But Zaku manages to save Dosu with some jutsu, right? He throws his hand in the ground, and like 2 lines of displaced dirt kind of push up, like, ground dogs moving through the ground or something. And it creates a big mound that Dosu lands in, and it makes the ground soft. And so the leaf, the flying lotus, doesn't ultimately end Dosu's whole deal like it should have. Lee is now cashed out because of using the primary lotus, and Dosu hits Lee with his jutsu, which brings Lee to his knees. And Dosu tells everyone to watch because they're about to go and show everybody something that they call the wall. And like all of the team members of Team Dosu have like a shared menacing laugh. And the episode ends. And so this episode starts with Rock Lee on his knees, panting, trying to recover from his primary lotus technique and from Dosu's attack. And Dosu mocks, "Effort by itself does nothing. Now watch. We're going to show you something called the wall." And the standoff intensifies, and the title slide comes in, and Sakura reads, "Sakura Blossoms." Rock Lee then looks up at Dosu, and his vision is all wavy. Dosu then continues, "Your jutsu is indeed fast, but ours is even faster because it moves at the speed of sound." And you'll remember whenever Dosu got Kabuto at the beginning of the tuning exams, he cracked the glasses, and no one really understood why, and it's because it's sound waves that, like the lady at the opera sings and hits that note, and like it pops the glasses. That's what Dosu did to the lenses of Kabuto's glasses. At this point, Lee doubles over and vomits, right? He's having a hard time with the effects of the jutsu, which causes Sakura to call out to him, "Lee, what's wrong?" Lee then winces in pain and grabs the side of his head, remarking, "My ear," right? Obviously, his ear is hurting him because the sound is intense. Dosu then continues as he reveals the device on his arm. "Oh, and I forgot to mention this little gadget I wear. You might be able to dodge my blows, but you can't get away from it." And remember, this is what, according to what I was able to find online, is called a resonating echo speaker, which is what he has on his forearm. And Sakura, seeing all this, thinks to herself, "What trick does he have up his sleeve now?" And I like how it was literally up his sleeve. But Dosu then laughs and remarks, "I don't need to strike you with my fists. I can hit you with the power of sound." And this causes Sakura and Rock Lee to be like visibly shocked, and Lee even questions aloud, "Sound?" Dosu questions, "What makes it possible for the ear to hear things? What is sound really?" And Sakura answers, "Vibrations." And Dosu mocks, "Give the little lady a prize. Yes, the vibration of molecules in the air creates a sound wave. These vibrations are collected by the ear, then directed through the outer ear canal to your eardrum." At this point, it pulls up a diagram of the ear. And he continues, "The rest, as they say, is anatomy. What interests me are the organs of your inner ear, the ones that control your sense of balance, your ability to move." And it shows us Lee continuing to struggle with the symptoms of Dosu's jutsu when Dosu continues with a laugh. "Feeling a little dizzy? Nauseous? That's right. Best if you don't even try and stand up for a while." Zaku then chimes in from the back. "You see, buddy, that old-fashioned taijutsu stuff, you won't work against us. Not that you aren't pretty good at it. It's just, what's the point? Compared to our jutsu, that stuff is yesterday's news." And he pulls his hands out of the ground and crosses them in front of him. He continues, See, I can manipulate ultrasonic waves and air pressure. I can do things you've never even dreamed of. And it flashes back to when Lee was slamming Dosu. And as Lee and Dosu slam his head into the ground, Rock Lee yells, "Take this, Primary Lotus." And it also shows us Zaku using his jutsu to save Dosu from the slam of the Primary Lotus. And it then takes us back to the standoff that is transpiring, where Zaku continues, "I can obliterate boulders, or make the ground itself as soft as a feather cushion. Face it, little man, you're up against the jutsu of the future." He then opens his palms and pressurized air comes hissing out of what appear to be artificially placed holes in his hands. It's hard to tell. I don't imagine that he was born with what appear to be metal holes in his hands. You would think those were put in after the fact, but shit, I don't know. It's also neat that they're calling taijutsu old-fashioned, right? That's probably the first thing that every ninja learns. And so, it's probably an afterthought in a lot of people's trainings and skill sets. And so the fact that Lee uses it is probably something that he gets mocked about probably pretty regularly. I mean, these guys, the first time they fought him, they're like, "That shit's old-fashioned, bro. This is the stuff of the future. You don't stand a chance." So might be something more to it there. Lee at this point sees Zaku doing this and thinks back to when Guy Sensei told him, "Remember, this jutsu is to be used only as a last resort, and then only to protect someone very precious to you." To which Lee confirms with a "right, only to protect someone very precious to me." Guy Sensei then puts his hand on Lee's shoulder and says, "You've done real well. I'll never get over how quickly you were able to master it, you lovable mop top." He chuckles and continues, "I'm proud of you, Lee," as he pokes him on the forehead. And this is great. Guy obviously has a soft spot for Lee, right? He's really, really proud of Lee. I love how Lee blushes real big, and even in the flashback, Lee's blushing real big. And I also like that they're showing that Lee was able to pick up this technique quickly. It either shows that he has a natural aptitude for this shit or that he's just working really, really hard at it. But either way, he picked it up at a rate that made Guy Sensei particularly proud. It takes us back to the here and now, and Dosu yells, "Now then, little girl, it's your turn," and he charges towards Sakura. Lee yells "no" as Dosu passes him by. Sakura then pulls out some kunai to brace for Dosu's attack. And just as he's about to land his attack, Lee comes rushing in, much to the surprise of everyone. Dosu can't believe it. He even questions aloud, "What?" Sakura calls out for Lee, and as she does this, Lee leaps towards Dosu and goes for a spinning kick, yelling "Leaf Hurricane." Dosu blocks the attack and remarks, "Not quite as effective as it was before, is it?" Lee groans in pain as they separate. Dosu lands on his feet and comes charging forward, demanding, "Still, it's impressive that you can move at all. We'll have to do something about that." He then throws a big right hand at Lee, which Lee blocks. When their arms make contact, Dosu's resonating echo speaker kicks on, making a high-pitched tone, causing this reverberating frequency effect to happen everywhere. Dosu then asks, "Do you hear that? This device amplifies the vibrations of the impact, forming them into a wave of sound." And so that's cool that Dosu's weapon actually can take the force of an attack and make it stronger, Sakura, watching all of this, remarks, "Lee, no," because he's clearly in trouble here, right? And Dosu then continues, "A sound wave I can channel with my chakra, focusing all its energy on any target I desire, and Lee then shrieks in pain. Sakura yells from the side for Dosu to stop it. Lee suddenly goes limp and falls to the ground. Dosu then says, "All right, little man, time to end it." Sakura suddenly yells, "That's what you think," as she pulls several kunai out of her satchel and throws them at Dosu. Dosu blocks them all with his resonating echo speaker and looks over at Sakura and remarks, "Oh, I'd almost forgotten you." From the bushes, Ino Shikacho watch, where Choji remarks, "These guys are scary. I vote for getting out of here." I love that these guys are always scared and always like, maybe not. Shikamaru responds, "Sasuke and Naruto are out of it. Lee's not looking too hot either. It's just Sakura all alone against the three of those guys." And he looks at Ino and continues, "Well, what do you want to do, Ino?" And Ino responds, "Why ask me, huh?" And it's like, well, I remember a few episodes ago where Ino was like, "This is Team Ino. I'm only cool with being in a team with you guys if I'm the leader," right? So Shikamaru is just remembering what she said and treating her the way she wanted to be treated. But, okay. Shikamaru at this point replies, "Well, if we don't do something soon, she's toast. You cool with that?" And Ino is like clearly shocked by hearing this. And Shikamaru continues, "You and her, you were friends once, right?" Ino then flashes back to her past where younger versions of herself and Sakura are sitting on a bench where Sakura says, "By the way, Ino," but hangs her head. And Ino asks, "Well, what is it, Sakura? Why do you look so down?" And Sakura responds, I heard that you..." And Ino chimes in, "Come on, what is it?" And Sakura continues, "Well, is it true what I heard? That you like Sasuke too?" And this surprises Ino, and she gets kind of choked up and can't seem to come up with what to say. And a heavy breeze blows between the two. Sakura stands up remarking, "So I guess that means we're rivals from now on," as she walks off. And so this is cool that they showed us how the rivalry between Sakura and Ino kind of started, right? It was over Sasuke. Go figure. And so, yeah, they both wanted the same guy. And so they're like, we're going to be rivals to figure out who gets him. So that's where the whole kind of history between these two, I guess, kind of started as of right now. Ino snaps back to the here and now, thinking to herself, "Ugh, get a grip, Ino. That's all ancient history." Shikamaru chimes in from the side, "Well, Ino, so like, what do you want to do?" Ino angrily snaps, "Why do you keep asking me that? What am I supposed to do? You want me to go out there and get myself killed?" And she then thinks to herself as her legs literally tremble with fear, "I mean, that's all that would happen. I'd just be in the same thick she is. What good would that do anybody?" And so this is neat that we get to see that Ino is actually really scared of this, right? Like in real life, like she's having a physical reaction of being this scared in the form of her legs shaking. It then takes us back to Sakura, who's fighting valiantly, right? She throws a bunch of shuriken at Dosu and yells, "Catch these." And as she does so, Zaku leaps in the path of the shuriken and casts a hand sign and puts his palm out towards the shuriken and blows them away with pressurized air. Sakura sees this and thinks, "A wall of air. My shuriken just bounced off," as she avoids the shuriken that just got sent back in her direction. And so I guess this is the wall, right? A wall of air. Or at least that's what Sakura referred to it as. Suddenly, Kin, the girl from Team Dosu, grabs Sakura by the hair from behind. And she remarks menacingly, my, what soft and shiny hair. But you know what? If you spent a little less time shampooing and a little more time practicing your jutsu, you wouldn't be in this fix. Hey, Zaku, I know it would be fun. Let's make Miss Beauty Queen watch while we finish off that Sasuke guy. And Zaku responds, why not? Sounds like fun to me. And these guys are some OG bad guys. Like, who in the fuck wants to do that? That's crazy. Who thinks that that's a good time? You know, if you're really trying to win, you just get it done efficiently. But that's not even good enough for them. They're going to take some pleasure in all this, which is pretty crazy. Clearly the bad guys, right? Sakura thinks, in reference to them going to get Sasuke, you stay away from him. And she starts to pull away from Kin. But Kin suddenly pulls Sakura's hair tighter and remarks, don't even. And Lee calls out for Sakura while he lays face down in the dirt. Sakura digs her fingers in the ground in frustration as she tries to figure a way out of her situation. She thinks to herself, it's no use, I've no strength left. She begins to cry and continues thinking, way to go, Sakura, you let everyone down again. What good are you? Even now, when the others really need me, I cave. How many times have they saved my neck? You'd think that maybe, when it's just this once, when it's life or death, you'd think that just maybe I could come through. And suddenly Zaku starts approaching and remarks, okay, let's do this. And it shows us Sakura briefly, who's still wincing in pain, but at this point, it's not Sakura, Sasuke. He's on the ground wincing in pain. And at this point, his curse mark has a purple vapor coming off of it. The purple vapor looks a lot like the purple vapor that Orochimaru just walked into and disappeared into, like Thanos. But at this point, the beat drops and Shikamaru says from the bushes, oh man, this thing's about to get really ugly. And Ino thinks to herself in a panic, what do I do? What do I do? Sakura pulls a kunai out of her satchel and Kin sees this and taunts, come on, that's pointless, that won't work on me. Sakura turns to Kin with a triumphant smile on her face and remarks, it's not meant for you. Kin, confused, remarks, what the? When suddenly Sakura reaches up with her kunai and cuts her hair, shocking everyone and effectively breaking Kin's grip on her. Which is neat, right? I mean, this is actually a scene where a lot of people have given Sakura a lot of grief for, like, not just attacking Kin. But, I mean, it got her free. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, your hair ain't too big a deal. So, like, she's out of there. Cool beans, as far as I'm concerned. As she does this, her headband comes falling off in, like, cue sad piano music. And Sakura thinks to herself, I always considered myself to be a true ninja. I claim that I'm madly in love with Sasuke, and I'm always lecturing Naruto like I know so much more. But it's all empty words, because they're always in the lead, and I'm always watching them from the background. Why is that? And it flashes back to when she leapt in front of Tazuna, the bridge builder, during the beginning of the Land of Waves arc, when the squadlings were being attacked by the Demon Brothers. It then shows Sasuke leaping in front of her to save her in this same instance. It then flashes Sasuke saying to Sakura as he shields her from danger, it's okay, I've got you covered. It then flashes to when Naruto wrangled his headband back from Zabuza after Zabuza knocked it off of him and was standing on it, disrespecting the headband and the leaf. As Naruto ties his headband back on, he says, okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy. He then casts his Shadow Clone Jutsu and surrounds Zabuza with clones. Zabuza defeats all of the clones with ease, and as one of the Narutos goes flying backwards, he digs in his backpack and thinks, I'm not giving up, I've still got this. He then yells for Sasuke and throws a giant shuriken his way, which we all know now this was a clone who threw the shuriken to Sasuke, while the real Naruto had transformed into the shuriken. So a clone threw Naruto, who was in the form of a shuriken, to Sasuke. Sasuke catches the shuriken and hurls it at Zabuza, which Zabuza dodges easily. Once the shuriken, i.e. Naruto, makes it past Zabuza, Naruto transforms into his normal self and throws several kunai at Zabuza and yells, "Take this," as he does so. It takes us back to the here and now, where Sakura continues to think as her headband continues to fall to the ground. No matter what they were doing, they were always there. Those two protecting me. And Lee, you did more than just say you liked me. You proved it. It then flashes back to when Lee told Sakura, I will defend you with my life. It then shows Lee coming in and saving the day during this fight when he hit Dosu with the primary lotus. Sakura continues to think, we aren't even teammates, and you put your life on the line for me. All this time, you've all been teaching me something. She then sees Naruto, Sasuke, and Lee in her mind's eye, and she builds up her resolve and thinks, it's about time I learned the lesson. And her headband hits the ground as she thinks, as the headband hits the ground, the beat drops. And once the beat drops, she thinks, okay, no more caving. Now it's my turn to take the lead. All of you can watch me from the background. And so this is cool, right? I mean, it went from her crying and saying she had no more strength left and not knowing what to do, to her taking direct action, cutting her hair, breaking herself free from Keen, learning the lesson through witnessing the actions of her teammates and village mates, and peers in the form of Sasuke, Naruto, and Lee, and building up her resolve to, go out and take the lead and, fight forward. Ino sees this and is clearly shocked and thinks, whoa, Sakura. And Lee calls out gingerly, Sakura, be careful. He's still face down in the dirt. And Zaku calls out, King, finish her. Like Mortal Kombat. And Sakura, without even turning around to face down Team Dosu, she just starts casting hand signs. As she's casting these hand signs, Keen rushes towards her, and Zaku thinks, I know those hand signs. And Keen tackles Sakura, but it turns out to be just a log, right? She used the substitution jutsu, and Keen even confirms as much whenever she remarks aloud, a substitution jutsu. Zaku thinks as he casts a hand sign, you think you can fool me with that lame ninjutsu? I'm on to you. In fact, I'm way ahead of you. He then yells, Keen, get out of the way, as Sakura comes rushing forward. Sakura then throws several kunai at Zaku, who sees this and yells as he turns in the direction of the kunai, pathetic. Thanks for the present. Hope you don't mind if I return it. And Sakura begins casting hand signs as the kunai fly towards Zaku. Zaku's ultimately able to repel the kunai yet again with his slicing sound wave jutsu, which sends the kunai right back at Sakura. Several of them stab Sakura, but she erupts into a plume of smoke, and when it clears, it's revealed that it's yet again a substitution, and he just filled a log full of a kunai. Zaku sees this and taunts, what a surprise. Okay, where are you now? and Sakura comes leaping in from above while casting her hand signs. Zaku sees her and demands, "You really want to keep playing this? Because I got news for you. I'm not falling for it." "All right, if you insist." He then pulls out several kunai and throws them at Sakura. A few of them hit, but none of them are in like vital areas. And he lets out a laugh, expecting this to be yet another substitution. He even looks around and goes, "All right, where are you coming from next?" When suddenly blood drops on his face from one of Sakura's wounds, drawing his attention upwards to Sakura, who he just hit with kunai and wrongly assumed was a substitution. Wrong, it's the real deal, and your kunai didn't stop her at all. Zaku's gaze widens with fear as he thinks, "Yeah, this time it's really her." And just as he thinks this, Sakura lands on him, and she goes to stab him in the chest with a kunai, but he blocks it with his arm, and she stabs him directly in like the forearm with her kunai. And she also bites his other arm and latches onto it and refuses to let go between his wrist and his elbow. And this shocks everybody, right? I mean, this is some violent ass shit. It shocked me whenever I saw it. At this point, Zaku and Sakura are basically stuck wrestling on the ground, where Zaku's yelling, "What are you, crazy? Get off me." And he punches her on top of the head repeatedly, but she's just refusing to let go of the bite on his arm. And he's just whopping her over and over again on top of the head. And Ino is clearly moved by this showing and thanks Sakura, as she has a flashback to a time when Sakura was crying and she came to console her. Ino asks the crying Sakura, "Hey, aren't you the one they're always teasing because you've got such a big forehead?" And so this is before the rivalry has really come up, right? They're younger in this moment. And so this is like, I guess, where they're forming their initial bond. Sakura kind of pulls herself together and looks up and asks, "Who are you?" To which Ino responds, "Who, me? Oh, that's easy. My name is Ino Yamanaka. Who are you?" And Sakura very timidly responds, "My name is Sakura." And Ino immediately, like, chest out, responds, "Huh? Hello? I can't hear you. Let's try that again, okay? Who are you?" And Sakura angrily yells, "My name is Sakura." And Ino is like, "That's better." And she then pokes Sakura's forehead and remarks, "So this is the famous forehead, huh? Whoa, it is kind of big. So that's why you hide it with your bangs? That's dumb. It just makes it worse. Makes you look like a sheepdog." At this point, she like pulls Sakura's bangs back, revealing her forehead. This obviously like hurts Sakura's feelings, and she kind of whimpers. Ino then asks, "So you're Sakura, huh?" And Sakura responds, "Uh-huh." And Ino then asks, "Hey, you know what?" Or, she didn't ask, she adds, "Hey, you know what? I've got something special for you. Come back here tomorrow, okay?" And Sakura timidly responds, "Huh?" And it then takes us back to the here and now, where Zaku is still punching Sakura over and over again, and he's calling out, "Somebody get this crazy girl off me." But I think it's neat how they're showing that like Ino wasn't picking on Sakura. She came around and like, maybe gave her a little tough love, but like, is being generally sweet and evidently has something for her. So we're going to see what it is. Hopefully it isn't some type of prank or something ugly. And on this subject, it takes us back to the flashback where Sakura now has her hair parted and tied up with a ribbon. And it's like we're used to seeing her, and Ino excitedly exclaims, "There, see? What an improvement. You look a lot better, and you can keep that ribbon." And so, note, the ribbon that Sakura keeps her hair tied up with was given to her by Ino, right? And she still wears it to this day. So although they're rivals, right, these two these two go back. These two are friends. Sakura timidly responds, "Oh, thanks, but..." And, Ino kind of puts her chest out and, "Huh? But what?" And Sakura continues, "But my forehead." And Ino responds, "Oh, come on. The more you try and hide it, the bigger deal you make of it. And your face isn't that bad. Actually, it's a pretty good face. You just have to be more confident." And Sakura, kind of shocked by hearing this, thinks to herself, confident. It then takes us to Ino and Sakura walking nearby a couple boys, and one of the boys calls out, "Hi, Ino. Hey, who's that you're with?" And Ino yells to him, "This is Sakura." And she then turns and says to Sakura, "Go on. Don't you want to say hello?" And Sakura blushes like really big and hides behind Ino, but manages to force herself into saying hi really timidly. And so again, this is neat, right? Like Sakura had these like self-confidence issues, these insecurity issues, and Ino's like clearly trying her best to help her friend overcome them. It then takes us back to the here and now where Zaku yells, "Get her off," as he is still just wailing on Sakura repeatedly. I mean, he's probably hit this girl like 20, 30 times now. I mean, Sakura is now like bloody and bruised and just taking a beating, but she will not let go of her grip on Zaku's arm. It then takes us back to the flashback again, where Sakura runs up on a group of her peers yelling, "Hey everybody, I've got something to tell you. It's a secret. You'll never guess who I like, not in a million years." And one of the kids standing in the group offers, "Why don't you just tell us?" And one of the others chimes in, "Yeah, just please don't say it's Sasuke." And this immediately deflates Sakura, who can only think to respond, "Huh? How did you know?" And this catches the attention of Ino, as one of the others in the background says, "Oh, it's just that Sasuke is one of the most popular guys ever, that's all." And Sakura responds, "He is? Oh, I guess that means I've just got a lot of competition." And the girl standing next to Ino remarks, "Wow, what a change. Sakura's really come out of her shell, hasn't she?" And Ino kind of angrily looks off to the side and remarks under her breath, "Sometimes I wish she'd get back in it." And so you can see how they have a kind of complex relationship, right? Ino helped Sakura get over her confidence issues, and then Sakura at that point developed an attraction to Sasuke, a popular kid, and was willing to pursue it because she had this new confidence, and that made Ino feel threatened because Ino likes Sasuke, and so she's developing this weird resentment. And so there's like a lot going on here between these two girls. It shows us Ino in the here and now, very briefly, and it's like she's clearly bothered in a big way by watching Sakura get her ass kicked. And it takes us back to the flashback where Sakura excitedly informs Ino, "Hey, you know what? I just found out Sasuke likes girls with long hair." And obviously Ino's always had, or has, long hair at this point. And it takes us back to the present, and it highlights the strands of Sakura's long hair on the ground that she just cut. Right, and this is obviously significant because you can imagine Sakura probably grew her long hair out for the sake of pleasing Sasuke, and now she's cut it. Back in the flashback, Sakura says to Ino, "Is it true what I heard, that you like Sasuke too? I guess that means we're rivals from now on." And it then shows Sakura grow from that small short-haired girl to how she is now, closer to fully grown and with long hair. At this point, Ino's mocking her. Well, I see someone grew their hair long. Looks like I'm not the only one." And they turn to face one another at the same time, and Ino demands, "If you think being on the same team as him is going to make him like you, you're wrong. And Sakura demands, "Face it, Ino, I'm gonna win." And Ino responds sharply, "Oh, you think so? Sakura, I'll never let you beat me no matter how hard you try." And then here and now, Zaku is still beating on Sakura, right? But you can see how this has gone from, they didn't really know each other to Ino helped her to Sakura came into her own to they developed a rivalry over this boy. And now, like, the rivalry is really heating up. And seeing Zaku still beating on Sakura literally brings a tear to Ino's eye. And as Zaku is beating on Sakura, we get to hear Sakura's internal dialogue, and she's thinking to herself, "I'm going to win." Right? Like, literally her core programming is coming from this rivalry. And Zaku finally knocks Sakura off of him, and he stands up and demands, "Now you're going to pay." And Choji from the bushes remarks to his teammates, "Oh man, this is bad." Right? It is bad. I mean, Sakura has been getting her butt kicked. She's outnumbered. She's been knocked on her butt. And now Zaku's like really upset. And Shikamaru forces the issue yet again by asking, "Well, And Sakura gathers herself and faces down Zaku while thinking, "It's all on me. There's no one else." Zaku aims his palms at Sakura and yells, "Say so long, kid." And in this moment, Team 10, Ino Shikacho, leap between Zaku and Sakura, shocking everyone. Zaku laughs and quips, "So what's this, the second string?" And Sakura looks up at them and thinks, clearly shocked, "Ino." And Ino, without so much as looking back, hollers to Sakura, "Surprise? I swore I'd never let you show me up, didn't I?" And Sakura is completely in awe in this moment. And Ino lowers her center of gravity, readying herself for the upcoming fight, and the episode ends. Right? And so this was a dope-ass episode, man. I really enjoyed it a lot. We got to see kind of what Team 10 is made of. We got to see what Sakura is made of. We got to see what Lee is made of. Dosu's a badass, right? Dosu knocked Bushybrow down with his resonating echo speaker twice. But on the subject of Lee, Lee is a savage for forcing himself up to protect Sakura even after he was compromised by the after effects of his primary lotus and having been hit directly by Dosu's jutsu twice. 2 rounds of Dosu's jutsu and burnt himself out in a primary lotus, and he was still able to get up and protect Sakura. Badass dude. Zaku has a cool jutsu, how he can shoot pressurized air and ultrasonic waves from his hands. I loved getting to see more of Ino and Sakura's backstory. Cool how Ino helped Sakura get over her insecurity about her big forehead. Sad how Sakura's new confidence is what helped her come out of her shell and shoot for Sasuke, ultimately driving a wedge between the two of them. Motherfucking Sasuke been instigating trouble between friends since day one. Everybody been wanting a piece of him since episode 1. Sasuke's curse mark now has purple vapor, much like the stuff that Orochimaru disappeared into, emanating from his curse mark. And I wonder what that's all about. We're going to see, I guess, for sure. Sakura is a badass, right? She cut her own hair, which she grew out to please Sasuke to save her teammates. Goon shit. I love how she flashed back to Naruto, Sasuke, and Lee all being badasses, putting their necks on the line for one another and her, and learning from the examples that they set, and basically learning how to act when the chips are down. Sakura is a wild child for the way that she took the kunai midair and didn't even slow down, and the way that she bit Zaku and refused to let go. And I love that Ino stepped in to help along with the rest of her team, even though she was super scared. I mean, they literally showed her legs wiggling. And I love that she mentioned earlier that going out there, I mean, they said, obviously she's scared. She said earlier in the episode that going out there would just get her killed. And it showed her legs, like I said, jiggling. But I love that, like, the last line of the episode is a callback to the flashbacks. Whenever Ino goes, "I swore I'd never let you show me up, didn't I?" And so, it's going to be neat to see how this rivalry between these two spurs them on to bigger and better things. And with that, I feel like I can pretty effectively put a bow on this, right? I went over last week's episode. I covered this episode. I provided my kind of final thoughts on it. Obviously, if there's anything I missed, you guys let me know in the comments. Please participate in the comments, like, comment, share, be friendly. Don't be mean in my comments. The whole point is to be friendly and find like-minded folks. And with that, I'm Joshua. I'm your Konoha companion. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.